Welcome back to another edition of All About the Why with Jason Wells. Jason, this week we're talking about consistency. So, kind of with this, it's hard for some people to get started. Talk to us a little bit about why small steps, even though they're small, are more important than trying to make huge leaps.
My post, well, not when we air, but my post this morning that we're recording is slow steps are better than no steps. It's difficult to get to that point because we so often attach our success to these big chunks of life happening. Mm-hmm. But when we really look at those big chunks, they're just an accumulation of little small pieces. So it's one of those things where the quicker we can get somebody to understand, don't underestimate the small things. Like, take advantage of those 1%ers. I'm a James Clear guy where he talks about 1% better each day, 1% better each day, each week. Mm-hmm. I'm 7. Each month, I'm 30, 31. Each quarter, now you talk about at the end of a year, I'm 365% better than I was at the start of the year.
Right.
Times multiple years. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the definition of growth. So, accumulate those little things.
So, of all the people, and you do a lot of reading, and I know that you study a lot of greats, not just within the athletic world. So, if we take the athletes, musicians, entrepreneurs, or anyone in those realms, what separates the best from the rest?
This word, consistency. That's the word, studying people in athletics, studying people in business, studying people in entertainment. They all draw back to consistency of mastering the tedious things, mastering the boring, mastering the basics, however you want to verbalize it. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. It's, if I'm a basketball player, the monotony of cross, shot, cross, and it's boring. But the separation between good and great and phenomenal is the ability to be able to master the basics. Because at the end of the day, they're doing the same things. The same thing that a phenomenal person is doing is the same thing that a below average person is doing. They've just mastered it at a level that now they're able to combine those things and add to those things that, instead of a cross, now it's a cross between.
Right.
Or whatever advancement it is. But I can't do that before I get there with the little things.
Yes, foundation's got to be there before anything.
Has to.
So one of the key words then, too, as you build upon those blocks, but you've got to add another one, is being responsible or responsibility. So a lot of the times it's hard. Our kids aren't taught these days of what it truly means to be responsible. Yeah. So what would your message be if you're talking to a team or a classroom of kids? How important it is for them to develop a sense of self-responsibility?
Yeah, and that's, you tread right into it. Like, the responsibility has to be self first. Because if I'm not responsible, it takes away from any level of credibility for me to attempt to hold someone else responsible. So, again, these are things that I'm big on the word simple and easy. These are all things that are simple, but people struggle with them because they're not the easiest things to do. It's not necessarily easy to be responsible to myself. It's much easier to hold somebody else accountable or be responsible. Even with blame, responsibility is ultimately blame. So bad pass, that was your fault. Not my fault. On the basketball court, one of the things that I mess with athletes about is the fault is always the blame of the better player, or the blame is always the fault of the better player. So ooh, yeah, it was my fault. And then, no, you think you're the better player, so you're saying it's your fault. I got it from PGC. I absolutely love it. But now all of a sudden you have athletes that are arguing about who's the better player and now jumping to assume responsibility behind it. So I think self-responsibility, responsibility to someone else, and then that third component would be now we have responsibility, we have to have accountability and hold each other accountable and lead each other to accountability, because now there's a mutual respect and understanding that we're all in this thing together. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I love those. I kind of want to go again, a little pivot.
Love it.
But let's get into people that might be viewing it or tuning into you. They love your message, but they're not in the athletic space.
Love it.
So let's say that we have a person that maybe isn't proud of their history or proud of their past. And they realize, I need to be more consistent. I need to make changes. I need to be more responsible. But how do I start with those habits? Like for them, all they've known might be bad habits to where it's got them to this point. So if you're putting a plan together, you're their coach.
Yeah.
How do you help them build those habits to consistency and responsibility?
Sure. First off is right now. It's not, I'll do this at the start of the month, or I do this, on Monday, or I'll do it on the top of the year, New Year's resolutions. So first off is right now. Mm-hmm. Second off, we've already talked about small steps, but now it's breaking down the small steps. If we're talking about, getting somebody to change their eating habits or change their workout habits, well, you can't just go, I'm going vegan. I'm going to the gym 7 days a week. No. Like that in itself, those aren't small steps. That's not a 1% step. Sure. A 1% step is have a vegan meal during the course of the day. Keep doing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Add another vegan meal, or maybe now I have a vegan meal on Monday and Tuesday. And so now you're taking those steps. Again, you can't cold turkey. Not a lot of people can handle cold turkey. Same thing when you're going to the gym. You're going to the gym, commit to going to the gym for 5 minutes. I go in for 5 minutes. Or commit to going to the gym one day out of the week. Whatever it is, those, breaking down the small steps to even smaller steps. You hear all these things about the stats. It takes 21 days. It takes this. It takes that. I think that's all still relative. The most important thing is small step, small step, small step. All of a sudden you look back. Oh, my body looks different because I'm eating different. Mm-hmm. Or people telling you that your body looks different because you're eating different and you're going to the gym and you're working out. And that's another, off to another subject. But I feel like once you get the validation of, specifically something like that, you look different. Or now it's full speed ahead.
So let's finish with this then. As we've talked about the building blocks, consistency, responsibility, habits, all of that. How important is community? What role does community play in this topic?
Sure. Birds of a feather flock together. That's what my grandma always told me. So we've talked about self-awareness before, and it's the backbone. It's the back. If you are not aware of who you are, there's no way you can know why you're here. We're talking about purpose. There's no way you can know why you're here if you don't know who you are. But with that self-awareness, with that authenticity, now I'm able to attract people who are authentic to me, who can pour into me, and I can pour into them. Like you and I have had personal conversations of needing that conversation to fuel me up and refresh me. So now I can go pour into somebody else or to the people that, are looking for inspiration from me. So that circle and community of people is instrumental in changing habits, especially changing habits by doing consistently things that I haven't normally done.
Yeah, and you can't do life alone.
You cannot.
So you've got to, like you said,
we're
surround
social
yourself.
beings. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with this week's episode, comment below. Tell us which of the building blocks that we talked about with habits, consistency, and responsibility, what do you think is most important, or what do you try to do in your life to bring those out? As always, share the episode out, spread the message, share the love. Peace.
Peace.